What's up? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dave, and this is the Chase the Summit Trail Talk podcast. And today, we've got a special episode because it is episode 60. I've done this 60 times. I can't believe that. And today, we also have a special guest. And that guest is Matt LeGrand. If you don't know who Matt is, he's got his own YouTube channel where he talks mainly about triathlons, but on top of that, he reviews a lot of the same, fitness tech I review on my channel, like Garmin's, and more specifically for this conversation, Apple Watches. Today, we're going to be talking about what's been going on with Apple in terms of the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Series 9, because if you missed it, at the time of recording this video, this podcast, and audio only version, you can't actually buy one on Apple's website. So we dive into the reasons why and what to expect in the future. And on top of that, later in this episode, we also talk about sort of our top picks when it comes to the best and worst releases of 2023. We get into some discussion about some of the features on smartwatches we saw this year, some of the trends we saw this year, and what to expect moving into 2024. Before we get into the conversation with Matt, a couple of reminders. First of all, I still have a Black Friday discount code going for the merch store where you can get 25% off your entire order of a Chase the Summit trucker hat or a sticker or whatever. And if you want to support the podcast and the main channel, I would really appreciate it if you check that out. That discount code is BFCTS25. And again, that will give you 25% off your entire order. Link is in the show notes down below. And the second reminder here is that not only is the podcast audio, it's also video. And there's a whole new YouTube channel over on YouTube, obviously, called the Chase the Summit Trail Talk podcast, where you can see me as well as listen to me. And in this case, you can see Matt as well. So head over there, hit the subscribe button, and make sure to like and comment and do all that stuff there as well. And also on YouTube, you can comment, which is kind of fun, and I can respond to them. Just way more conversational. And the final reminder before we move on is to get down in the show notes and check out Matt's YouTube channel, Matt LeGrand on YouTube, where you can see all of his videos. I highly suggest them. Top quality stuff. Go check them out. Without further ado, let's move into the conversation with Matt LeGrand. I hope you enjoy it. Matt LeGrand, welcome to the Chase the Summit Trail Talk podcast. Are you excited to be here?
Oh man, this is what I live for. These are the moments. This is it. This is when you know you've made it. Chase the Summit podcast.
I'll probably record a little intro to this, but okay. Everyone knows who Matt LeGrand is, the king of sports tech B-roll with buttery smooth 120 frames per second aerial view shots that are seamlessly merged into a bike wheel flying by, and it's just amazing. Flip it into 120, and that's really all it takes. Before we get into it, if you don't know who Matt is, I'll have him linked in the show notes of this podcast. Make sure to check out his channel. We had the pleasure of spending some time together back in September for several days at Apple to see the new and exciting Apple Watch Ultra 2 in Series 9, which let's just recap that in one sentence.
Sure.
How excited were you about that trip?
The trip I was extremely excited about because I got to see you guys, there was really four of us that were hanging out. Des from Des Fit, Ray from DC Rainmaker, and Chase the Summit, the pinnacle. And so I literally think that that was the highlight of the trip. Apple made their big announcement. The Apple Watch Ultra 2. Wait, the Apple Watch Ultra 2. It's the same as the Apple. You can't even tell the difference between the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Ultra 1. It was just it was surprisingly a soft announcement. And but the fact that the four of us hung out and had fun, that was to me the highlight of the whole trip. So the trip, 10 out of 10. The announcement from Apple, I mean, being nice, probably a 3 or a 4 out of 10. I mean,
yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad because I do dog on it a little bit too much. I just did a best of thing and worst of video. And I kind of said that was the biggest disappointment for me. But I feel bad saying that because the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is still it's an awesome watch. It's just not that different for, people who already have an Ultra 1. You're not going to run out to buy the Ultra 2. And now
they shouldn't.
And should we mention who I sat next to at the Apple launch event?
That was another huge highlight, right? Yes. 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 We sat down next together, and there was like just a couple of sporadic seats open. Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, I don't know, he's got like, I want to say 17 million subscribers, but it's something like 16, 17 million subscribers. Just slaps a seat right next to Dave and it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
what are we doing, guys?
Yeah. In my head, I don't know if you saw me in the moment with like steam coming out of my ears, trying to think of what I can say to this guy to not come off like a creep. But I felt compelled to say something.
Yes. I'm sure that we both came off like creepy fanboys, but hey, it is what it is. Like I like his channel. I like his reviews. I think he does a good job. And he's been doing it forever. Cool. Well deserved, right? Yeah,
the king himself. I couldn't believe it. He's also a very large man, while I'm a very small man. So that was also
there's a size discrepancy.
Yeah. So why Matt here is here on the channel is because, or the podcast, I don't know how to talk on a podcast, is mainly because I learned, believe it or not, Matt, I learned about this information from your video before any other source. You were like bleeding edge on this news of a lawsuit going on between Apple and a company called Masimo?
Masimo, yeah.
Okay, so Japanese company, right?
Or is it? So that's a great question. They have a headquarters in California, so it's always hard to tell. So we run into this not just with random patent issues and weird companies like this, but we run into this even within like the watch industry, where it's like this company says they're from California, or they kind of are, and so they might be. But they also might be like Chinese company that has like a, shell company that's their headquarters in the US or whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, so I would say California if I were like put on the spot.
Interesting. Yeah. So I did some Googling about their company because I had no clue actually who the company was. And I was like, who's suing Apple? No one could win this. But it turns out they're a massive company and they're like in the medical industry. Like when you go to the hospital and you get that little thing on your finger and get your pulse and blood oxygen taking, there's a high probability that equipment is actually manufactured by this Masimo company.
Did you when you were Googling around, did you see anything like Japanese company or anything like that? Because it sounds like a Japanese name to me.
I thought I did. I could be wrong. I have it written down here in my notes, and I'm probably wrong. But the beauty of being on this podcast is I don't know what I'm talking about. You're watching this for entertainment, and there's no facts here.
Yes, expect no factual information to be passed through this podcast.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, there were people that commented on the video and were saying like, yep, I work in a hospital and I work, I know this company. And so that was kind of reassuring to hear that, because what you don't want it to be is just like a patent troll company, that this is what we do. We have a patent and we just go after, whoever we think will pay the next bill for us. And I don't necessarily think that's the case in this situation. I think they make real products. I think they do real things. I don't think that they're strictly like a patent troll type of a company. So
yeah. So for the listener who doesn't know what's going on,
yes,
give us a quick recap, Matt, because I learned this from you. I was like blown away because I saw your video drop and I saw the title. And I was like, oh man, Matt is going down the wormhole of clickbait. He's clickbait. Yeah. Yeah. And because I didn't see anything. I was looking on Mac Rumors, 9 to 5 Mac, all these different websites. And then your video drops. And I'm like, he's doing something shady. And it turned out it wasn't.
You should know that I will not hesitate to do something shady. Drop some.
You're a shady guy. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I try to avoid 100% clickbait, but like I'm definitely not afraid to use, some sort of title that would entice someone to click on the video. In this case, that wasn't the situation. I got like a notice, like a notification on Twitter or whatever about this situation. Clicked through it, read through the article. I sent a contact at Apple like a message like, hey, do you have a statement on this? And they're basically like, the article on 9to5 Mac is kind of like our statement or whatever. And I was like, okay. So
Wow.
I, flipped through as much information as I could, put together a quick video and cranked it out, which, me, I can't crank anything out, right? Like for me, like a video takes a month. But this one wasn't that long of a video. It's like 5 minutes if people want to check it out.
Yeah,
the
I'll link
highlights
it in the show notes down
Yeah.
below. Go check it out if you want the full
But the
breakdown.
highlights, yeah, if you don't want to check out the video, that's fine. The highlights are that Apple basically has taken the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Series 9 off of their website from being sold as of right now. So as of yesterday at 3 o'clock Eastern, and I actually checked on this like right after it happened, like right after noon Pacific time, and flipped through their website, and it was like, whoa, it wasn't just like clickbait, right? Like it was like they're really not selling these two devices. And the reason is because there's a patent dispute, as you might expect by our previous conversation, between Masimo and Apple regarding their blood oxygen saturation sensor. From what I can tell, it looks pretty valid as far as like, hey, is Apple stepping on this patent, or are these people just like going after Apple? So Masimo originally filed like patent dispute in the California court system, and that was all the way back in January of 2020. So this has been going on for a long time, as these things often do.
Yeah.
And it's a little odd too, because sometime before that, it looks to me like Apple had poached some of their engineers.
I was going to ask you about that, because that is part of, I think, MacRumor or 9to5, one of those. They talked about how Apple had intentionally gone out and tried to pick up some talent from this company to maybe learn more about the technology they were using.
Which, again, I think leads more credence to like, okay, so maybe there's some people in California that are really part of this company and doing these things. Because, I think that a couple of them, and I don't think it was a massive amount of people, had made their way over to Apple. Again, there's only so many engineers that are excellent at some of these technologies, right? Like, how many engineers are there that are really good at, looking at heart rate based on optical sensors and things like that? There are probably a good number, but it's probably not a massive amount when you're talking about like trying to put together a really good team long term. So
what I'm confused about is maybe, I don't know, but the technology itself, like Garmin has SpO2 sensors, Koros has it, Polar, everybody's doing it now. What makes this so unique to Apple? Is it the actual sensor is a legit, like, straight up design copy? Or like, I don't really understand.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't found that information. Again, like, I think if we probably were to dig into some of the legal documentation, there might be like, here's the evidence for this patent infringement. And it's tricky too, because Masimo basically said, like, it's not one patent that they're stepping on. It was something like 98 patents or something like that they said, like, here's the deal. And so the first step was like, here's this legal process, that they're going through, and they've been going through it for 3 years or more. And they get to the point, well, I guess 4 years, but they get to the point where it's like, hey, listen, this is taking too long. Like, like we're going to try to, we're going to try and raise this issue with the ITC, which is more of like an international group that's like, hey, if you have problems with this particular patent dispute or whatever, you can bring it up to this group and they can block imports. Wow. And so this is really kind of like the reason behind the fact that like Apple isn't selling stuff on their website. However, third parties can still sell the Apple Watch Ultra, so these are companies like Best Buy, Amazon. And from what I've seen recently, it's still discounted, which has got to change, right? Like there's going to be some shortage of supply. The retailer people, they should catch on to this, the fact that there's not going to be as much supply for the next just short amount of time, right? Like I don't think this is a long time or a long situation, but I imagine that the prices would not be discounted. They would at least end up at their suggested retail prices. But those, from what I've seen right now, Apple's taking it off their website. The people that have stock, so, if Apple has sold this to Amazon or Best Buy or companies like that, those people are still fair game to sell this product as it stands. Right now, as of this podcast, it's Friday morning. It's still unavailable. I should double check that as we talk, but I don't think this could last super long. We'll see.
Yeah, I actually checked right before we started recording just to make sure facts were straight before we jumped out here. And just to be clear to everybody, Matt and I are just YouTubers that don't know the ins and outs of the legal system or what's going on. All we can do is kind of speculate as to why and the reason behind this. And also, I think from Apple's perspective, it did seem voluntary. They voluntarily took it.
Yeah.
They took it down, and it didn't seem like a court-ordered thing, take down that now. You know what I mean? Well,
I think that the so this is the back part of this is yes, the ITC ruled that there was an infringement here and that they were going to block imports, but that actually happened back in October, and so they basically have this process, right, where it's okay, we're gonna put these things in place, and then at the final step is this presidential review piece, which is going on now until December 25th is the last day of that. And so I guess President Biden could just step in and be yes, I'm gonna overrule the ITC. I know, right? When you start talking about the president could do something about it. So this is a real thing, and it actually happened back in 2013 with Obama or something like that. There was something between Samsung and the iPhone, and
I remember
same kind of situation. I don't remember it, but I just had noticed it when working on this video. But it was same kind of thing happened, and they basically overruled the ITC, and they were yep. So the reason Apple.
The reason the president gets involved is because Apple is such a big company. Yeah. They sell so many products, and from the economy level, this could be an impact on supply chain, money changing hands between different companies, and even it could trickle down to third-party sellers like Best Buy and Amazon. It could be an impact for everybody.
I think the two arguments that could be made as of hey, maybe the president should step in, are supply chain, hey, this is a hit to the supply chain all the way down the line, and it can affect our economy. The second one would be this is a healthcare product and it saves lives, and which, I think, I don't know how Apple's algorithm works, but I know some of their products definitely save lives, especially the heart monitoring piece, the ECG with the AFib stuff. I know that that's actually done quite a bit in the healthcare industry as far as establishing people that might need to follow up with primary physician or a specialist and seeing their cardiologist. So there's some argument to be made there, but what it looks like is that Biden's not going to waste his time with this issue.
What would be wild is if they decided to, if Apple really got in trouble for this and they were forced via firmware to disable SPO2s in all existing Apple Watches. I wonder if that's something they could even do, because then at that point they're faced with false advertising of what you bought. Right. You expected that feature and then it gets taken away. I don't think that would ever happen, but what a weird situation that would fall into.
But what it does look like is going to happen is they're basically going to have a SKU number, and they're basically going to disable or alter the blood oxygen saturation sensor piece for this particular SKU going forward. And this is just rumor stuff. We don't know what Apple's going to do. Apple's going to do what they're going to do. But what we think that they're going to do is that they're going to basically fork the hardware or fork the software and be it's going to be disabled for new purchases at this point in time. Lawyers are negotiating hey, what's the licensing going to cost for this? Oh, you're going to do this? Well, then we're just going to disable it. But I just think that there's a lot of pieces in play, and eventually whatever the price is, whatever the line in the sand is for Apple to be yes, we'll just pay the licensing fee.
I wonder, too, if this is going to be a driving factor in, the next version, Apple Watch Ultra 3, Series 10. Maybe we see an entirely new heart rate sensor on the back of that looks totally different, acts totally different than what they have now.
There's rumors that they're going to have a different clasping mechanism on the watch. There's rumors that there's some people are saying could be a different shape. watch might be circular, not square. Like, I doubt that's gonna, right? But like, there's just so many rumors because this is like, this is the Apple Watch 10 or the Apple Watch X. I don't know how they'll describe it. And then the Apple Watch Ultra 2 was not such a big update like we talked about earlier. It's just like the idea that this could be a big update, rumor-wise, it kind of all makes sense. Would they change the optical heart rate sensor? And do they have enough time, right? Because these things take a lot of time to put together and engineer.
Yeah.
What do they have? They have 9 months? So I think it's possible.
From what I understand, Apple is always working like 2 years. Like by the time the Ultra 2 is released, they're already halfway done designing the Ultra 3 or whatever comes next.
Yep.
So they're really not, they're not starting from scratch every time a new one comes out. But yeah, it does make you wonder what we'll see next time. I bet this is going to turn more into like a speculation party.
Let's do it. I love it.
Ultra 3. But I bet, I don't know if you recall the rumors. We talked about it when we were in Cupertino. Now, I found that it was like the morning of release day, someone posted a big fake script it was like a rumored script of the event. And I was reading it off to you, Des and Ray, like, this is what's going to happen, guys. Like, I fully bought into it. And all of you guys were like, no, this is no way this is real. And it was very descriptive.
Yeah. Well, that's because I think, like, now that it's so easy with AI to really, like, generate an Apple script, like, it's just going to be it's going to be a mess, right? Like, actually, it's probably a mess in Apple's favor because there's going to be so much crap out there. Everyone's going to be like, we don't know. Like, just wait 5 minutes for the keynote to start, and then we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Apple, I'd just start like generating scripts in ChatGPT and like sending them out there to try to like muddy the water to everybody to keep it under wraps, And
it's good because like you can, if you're using AI to generate like an Apple script that got leaked or whatever, you can use the rumors that are already there. Like, there's going to be a black edition of the Apple Watch Ultra. All those things that were like heavily rumored. And I actually think that Apple probably was intending to make like two different, actual colored devices, and that something didn't happen with whatever it was, like production. And they were like, scrap it and let's go with what we already have that's working. But anyway, like, who knows? That's all super speculative. And I do think that like someone's like, hey, here are all the rumors.
So let's put a bow on the lawsuit thing. I want to talk to you more about some other stuff. If you have time, I don't want to take up your whole day.
No, I've got an hour. You got tons of time.
Cool. Okay. So with the lawsuit, I just want to, let's speculate. What do you think the outcome's going to be? How long do you think before we can go to an Apple store and buy an Apple Watch again?
I'm thinking that it's going to take like a week or two, and that the engineers are going to be like, here's the software fix for these SKUs and going forward. But at the same time, they may be trying to put together a licensing agreement, going forward. So it might be like I don't know if they would put something software wise together where they could flip the switch and turn off blood oxygen saturation for devices that are new. So
my guess is going to be that a significant amount of money changes hands, and then all of a sudden on December 26th, you can buy Apple Watches again. That's my guess, because it's probably going to be the easiest for both parties just to be like, you know what? Here you go. We're done.
And it's going to be a lot of money too, right? Yeah. I mean, it's going to be like millions and millions of dollars.
I hope they don't build that into the price, like a licensing. Like Garmin, when they utilized First Beat technology before they acquired First Beat, if you had like estimated VO2 max on your watch, they had to license that feature, and so they charged you basically, so that it inflated the price of the watch to get those extra features until they acquired the company, and now a lot of them have it. But I wonder if this could be a case of the hardware, being
Can you
licensed.
imagine if they were like, the watch is going to go up $50, and
that'd be wild.
I mean, because that's the number that, I mean, they wouldn't do any sort of weird like $810. I don't know what they would do.
Right.
If people are listening to this and they're like, oh, I was about to buy my, like, the great part is that the Christmas shopping is pretty much done now.
Yeah.
If you're shopping for Christmas stuff right now, I love you. you are my people.
The spirit animal.
But I do think I think that they've dodged the bullet of like this happening right before that would have been a real nightmare if this happened in I don't know, like end of November as opposed to end of December. I really don't think people are making huge purchases. The other side of it is that the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is not a huge update from the Apple Watch Ultra 1. Like, there's just not as many people buying this.
Know who this sucks for, though? It's going to suck for, like, the teenage kid who is asking for Apple gift cards for Christmas to go buy the Apple Watch Ultra, you know, on December 26th. He was planning to go to the store, and he's going to have all these gift cards ready to buy it, and you can't do it.
Wah, wah, wah. I feel so bad for that poor kid.
He's out there. Sorry.
Grandma, why did you have to send me an Apple gift card?
Yeah. Should have went with the Visa gift cards instead.
The other thing that we should mention is that the Apple Care people that, you know, whatever it is, like they party too hard on New Year's Eve and they, you know, face smack into the concrete block, but their Apple Watch Ultra was in the fray or whatever. Anyway, those watches that get smashed can't be replaced by Apple because they literally can't sell a product or whatever it is, and so they can fix products.
I wonder if they'd still process replacements in, you know, with their stock, because is that really a purchase of a watch, or is that you know,
that's a good question. But from what I read, I think that they run into an issue there.
The long story is you can't buy an Apple Watch right now, and you can't in the near future. But things may change after Christmas. But I wanted to ask you about some other stuff, Matt.
Okay. Yeah.
Before I lose you, before we talk too much about Apple and lose the entire audience out there that may be Garmin users.
Right.
And
they're in the middle of their long run and they just hate this Apple talk.
Like,
sorry, guys.
Why am I listening to this? I don't know if you saw, I posted a video like 4 days ago called The Best and Worst Smartwatches of 2023, where I gave out little awards to the different selections, different categories. And I wanted to get your take on the categories. So this is kind of a game. Okay. So
I will say that I have not seen your video yet.
Good.
And
reason that's better. That's better.
I know. Yeah, but it's better for this. But like anytime you post a video where it's like, oh, I feel like, oh, if I'm gonna make something similar or whatever, or like you talk about a watch or something like that I haven't quite reviewed yet, I avoid your video, knowing because I don't want you to influence me, and it kills me because you'll see stuff that I won't see, and I'm like, how did he see this stuff? Like I wish I would have noticed that. But if I watch your video, then of course in my video I'm like, well, yeah, the same thing that Dave Dillon said. He's right again about blah blah blah. And so I try not to let it influence me. But
you're probably going to make a similar video, and I don't want to spoil your video, but I think it would be fun, especially if you haven't watched mine. It would be fun to go through these, shoot from the hip.
Okay.
Tell me your answer. Tell me your answer, and then follow it with like a blurb about why. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
The first one is best daily driver smartwatch and sport watch. Best daily driver. So what that means is, you know,
I
the
love
best,
this question.
Yeah, to just walk around town, but also occasionally go for your bike ride and run with.
Okay, so on this video, I'm wearing two watches, and this is very normal for me. I always wear two watches. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 is what I have on my right wrist here, and this is where it kind of stays. And I often switch around between lots of different products. Sometimes I'm testing products and things like that, and I'll switch things around on both wrists, but a lot of times I'll just switch out the one on the left and things like that and test out new products. And so as like a daily driver, I will say, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I would say the Apple Watch Ultra is a good watch because it is smarter. It integrates with my phone better. I can respond to text messages. And really, like, that's like the one thing, like if Garmin's watch did that, I'd be like, wow, okay, really don't need the Apple Watch Ultra at all. It's just like those tiny little things. It's not like I'm going to browse the web on my watch. Like, I'm not going to do that much with it. And it's just like these tiny little things, like being able to respond to text messages or see image attachments. Tiny little things like that are probably it. And and I like being able to close my rings and stuff like that. I do like that. But for some reason, like I was just like put it on a charger upstairs, and I didn't wear it for a couple of days, and I didn't miss the Apple Watch Ultra that much. Now my cheat answer is, as soon as I like step on a plane or I go somewhere or anything like that, this is the Garmin Enduro 2, and I just wear this thing like I wear this thing out, man. Like, I love this watch.
Nice.
It just goes forever. And there's a couple things that I think that we will disagree on. This is a MIPS display. This is not an AMOLED display. Which one's brighter? I don't care. I can see this MIPS display in bright conditions.
Yeah.
And I can see this one in my house, and anytime I want to glance at it and see the time. Is the screen sharper? No, it's not sharp at all. It's about half the screen sharpness and significantly less bright. But it just works. And a lot of times you're just checking the time, like, or maybe you're checking like your steps or all of those things.
You were close. You were close to mine. I don't know if wait, first let me, no, I'm trying to find can you hear my sound effects?
There's like, you should have been like, right. Yeah, I can hear sound effects. There's a right answer and a wrong answer.
Oh, there we go. That's the wrong answer sound.
Wrong answer, Matt. Wrong answer. What was the correct answer?
Okay, that's the winning sound.
What was the correct answer? What was the correct answer?
So no correct answer here. This is all opinion based.
No,
obviously.
No, there is a correct answer.
But
whatever you said was correct.
I also picked 2, and the reason why I picked 2 is because
what a loser.
There's such a percentage of the world out there that's Android users, and for those people, you can't buy an Apple Watch. So I did say I gave the win to the Apple Watch Ultra 2 or Series 9, kind of a cheat there, but they're the same freaking watch except for some other minor details. As a daily driver, they're amazing, cellular built in, all that stuff. It's like an iPhone on your wrist. But my second place or alternative was the Venue 3, oddly enough.
I have not reviewed that yet, but I think it's coming. So nice. I'm excited about that watch, actually. Does it have a triathlon mode? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I think so. And I think the reason why I gave it the alternative win was because it has a speaker and mic on board. And, as a daily driver, people appreciate that. So
yeah,
let's keep moving on, Matt. Next one.
Keep rolling.
Ready for it? I'm going to fire this one out there, and I'm going to have my sound effects ready. But I don't think I kind of forget how to use the sound effects. So we're going to skip the sound effects. All right. Most innovative release of 2023. This could be, I'll say this, it could be a device or it could be a feature specific to any device.
One of the features that I really, really liked, and I talked about a fair amount on my channel, was the track mode on the Apple Watches. And that's like
was that
a subtle
2023
thing because,
though?
That
might have been 2022.
That might have been
that was
2022.
WatchOS 9.
9.2.
Yeah, I'll accept it.
Give me a date on that one. When did that one come? No, you can deny that. We can come up with something else.
I'll accept
but if that one, that was a cool feature, and it was so like subtle because not that many people care about it. And it's interesting because there's track modes on all these watches. Like I think Coros actually was the first company. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Coros was like one of the first companies to have this track mode where they're like, "Oh, we'll just lock your GPS coordinates onto the lane that you're in."
Wasn't Wahoo one of the first? Oddly enough, with the Element rival,
I wouldn't be surprised.
They had a track mode. I don't remember who was first either.
I think Coros was first, but anyway. But the way that Apple did it was slightly different, and I thought it was so genius.
They did it in such an Apple way too, because I was skeptical of that too when they announced it until I used it, and I was like, man. This is the best track mode, like bar none.
Yeah.
Like there's no calibration. You don't have to run on the track ahead of time to like get the distance right. It just knows, and it's like dead on every time. And when you approach it, you just walk up to it. Like you get out of your car in the high school parking lot and walk up, and it's like, oh, you're at a track. Do you want to run? It's like, yeah, okay, let's go.
and usually the way that I coach a whole bunch of runners and stuff like, and the way that I tell people to do track workouts is like, go out, do a 2-mile warm up or whatever, then come back to the track. We'll do this, then we'll go to a cool down. Like, but there could be some sort of weird workout where you go to the track, come back, leave, come back again, back and forth, and the watch would just handle all of this perfectly and kind of end up with one total activity or whatever, like your one Strava activity things. And what you'll see a lot of times, or in our history, is that you would see like, here's my warm up. Post that to Strava. Here's my track workout. Post that to Strava. Here's my cool down. Post that. And it's like, dude, just don't post your warm up cool down or whatever it is. Like, this is just annoying, but people want to get all their information in the right spots. And so it's such a subtle little thing, and then you see, like, I was just like, wait, does Apple really know how many laps there are on these tracks? And I went to like different tracks, and I was like checking all this stuff. I was like, holy crap, this is impressive.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the things that I was most impressed with.
You know what I did? I gave it to the freaking double tap, man. I gave it to double tap because while it isn't the most useful feature, it is something entirely different than what we've seen. Except for the accessibility options, which are there. I know people yell at me about that, but it's totally different. If you actually use double tap, it's a lot different than the accessibility feature.
I tried hard to make a video specifically with that. Like, no, this is different. Yeah. And here's, I think, the winning the winning sentiment is that gestures on your watch could be really good, and especially the processor makes a big difference. Like, I believe 100% that Apple's like, yeah, we have this gesture recognizing piece, and it's all part of like some of the new chips that are on board, this particular S9 chip. And it's like, okay, like, I believe you, these gesture recognizers are much better. And I think that Apple should just take it and run with it. Wouldn't you love to be able to completely navigate your watch with just gestures, do everything that you want to do? I would use my watch more. Like, it would be one of those things where like this feature would make me use my watch more. And like, that is huge, right? So it's like, oh, if I'm going to calculate something, like, I'll probably grab my phone or whatever, like, to grab the calculator app. But like, if I could do all of that with just some gestures, like, man, that would be interesting.
I do think it's kind of the beginning. I bet the Vision Pro, the gestures with that, with the pinching,
right? Like,
basically you can pinch and scroll with that. And I wonder if we'll get there someday. But how cool will you feel walking around the mall, like scrolling up and down with your wrist in the air?
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right, next one.
Mall. Malls don't exist, Dave. Malls don't exist anymore.
That's dating me, I guess. All right, next one.
I'm hoping that you're going to have like the next question is going to be like best value, because even though I haven't tested this device,
you're good.
I think. Well, I'll wait for you to, if you're going to ask that question. Are you going to ask that question soon? Because I'm going to have a debate. I'm going to have an answer that's not easy. I'm going to have multiple options.
Oh man!
But
do you have to draw a diagram?
Yes, it's going to be.
Do you need a whiteboard?
I need Suunto to send me some watches. That's what I need, because I would love to test their devices. In particular, they have that new watch. It's called the Suunto Race. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And it just you're getting like one of the options has titanium, and the other is stainless steel. But both of them have like the sapphire lens, I think. Is that correct?
Yep.
And I haven't reviewed this, so I don't know. But like, I look at that and I'm like, to me, like, this is just one of the best value watches that's out there because of the materials that they're using. You basically have to go to either some like questionable brands to get something like that, or you'll have to jump all the way up to like $1,000 with some of the more like premium companies to get those materials on a watch. And again, I think that's one of those things where it's like, don't watch Dave Dillon's video in case you're going to review this later. So I don't think I don't know exactly what you've said, but for me, I'm like, that's like a watch of the year kind of thing right there, even though I haven't reviewed it.
So I kind of set you up for failure. The reason why I say I set you up for failure is because I have some other categories here. Best value is one, okay? But then there's another category for best of the year and most improved brand. So knowing all of that
brand.
So when I say best value, I mean most features for least amount of money. So that information.
So I still think the Suunto Race is a good value. However, my other piece of the pie, and this is probably the answer that you gave on video as well, the Coros Pace 3 is just an awesome device.
It is. Yeah.
Right? Well, it's so obvious. It's like I just was, you and I probably had like side channel discussions like, please don't price it at like $300. Please don't price it at like $400. Like, it's just like, we know what you're going to do. It's going to, like, it's got multi-band GPS. But they just nail that watch with like the value and what you get, and they don't skimp on features. Material wise, it's a nice lightweight watch. It's not like fancy or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from that watch, and then they really nailed it with like navigation, turn by turn directions, great battery life, touchscreen. Like, they just added everything.
Yeah, I can't believe they added all that.
The only thing they need to add is music controls for your phone. Like I don't know why they don't do that. Like they have onboard music, which kind of sucks because you have to put the MP3 files on there manually. But like even if you just want to carry your phone and control it, like I do that all the time. You can't do that with the Chorus, which drives me nuts.
I think that's a software update away, and it'll be on all of their devices. I would think. I think what Chorus likes to do is basically kind of keep one. I mean, this is what all watch companies should do, and you see it with Apple, where it's like they have like software, and it's like this runs on our watches, like. Whereas Garmin is just such a mess, where they're like, we got our 965 software, and then we got our 955 software, totally different. Like it's just like such a mess. Like, come on, Garmin, like just like unify your software, and if a hardware thing doesn't support it, that's totally reasonable.
What drives me bananas, this is totally off topic, but
I know that's what we do.
The 965 and the Epix or the Phoenix, they're the same. At its core, like if you take the chip out and you attach a display to it, they're identical. Everything's the same. But for some reason, Garmin's like, nope. When you're in a map page, you can't double tap to zoom on the 965, but you can on the Epix. Like, why?
That's ridiculous.
And why can I touch
the mapping software should be the same. The mapping software should be the same. It's like they had to work harder to make this mistake.
And like moving forward, they probably have like two different repositories for like for the 965 and the Epix, and then every time there's an update, they're like, oh, let's do advanced body battery. It's like, okay, team A and team B, now you get Epix, you get 965, where it should just be like, all right, everybody, we're doing an update. like why not?
Merge, like it's the difference between like merge code versus like team A has to do this, and then team B has to do the same thing. Like that.
Just reinventing the wheel twice. I don't get it. It's crazy.
And I think Garmin is aware that it's ridiculous, and from what I can tell from what like DC Rainmaker has talked about, it sounds to me like they realize that this is not sustainable. They've got to be making changes. I could be wrong, but like, they got it. I mean, that's just such a low-hanging fruit thing to like fix your software.
All right, next one. Let's jump ahead to some heavy hitters here. This one is entirely subjective.
No, there's always a right answer.
This one is just your opinion, 100%. Okay. Best looking watch in 2023. Sexiest watch that you'd want, the watch you'd want to take out on a date in 2023.
Okay, I have one that I don't think anyone will agree with me on. The 965, I love how it has that slight dome to it. Like, I just think that's so I like it because I like sports watch. It's like I am like I grew up running. Like that was like my jam. Like I'm okay with sports. If you want something to look nicer, like I do think anything with more of a bezel to it is gonna look better. Some of the Amazfit watches look good. Like they do. They look good.
That New Balance they came out with, the one I was wearing in Cupertino. It's like it's a $200 watch, and it's really like super nice looking. Like, but from a distance, you're like, what is that? What is that person wearing?
So, and that's the difference where it's like, oh, here's Matt who thinks like these plastic watches look good, but that's just because I like the way it looks. Whereas I do get it. Like if I was like ever to dress up and go somewhere, which never happens. But if I was ever to be like, I gotta wear a suit, like I probably would think that the 965 is not the right watch to wear with a suit.
No, I agree. I like the. I mean, I wear it every day, obviously, so I do like the look of it. But I gave the win to the Suunto Race of all watches. I don't know why. It's again that you put it in your hand. You're like, it's a $450 watch that just feels like premium. It feels like $1,000 Garmin, or even maybe even like a cut above in some ways, like slightly nicer.
I need to review that watch, and I probably will. Casio makes some watches that people are obsessed about, and so I do think that there's certain like brands that you can wear on your wrist. A watch, in some ways, is like a fashion piece, right? And like you and I almost don't even think of it that way, but at the same time, like a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, well, this is the Casio, blah 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 blah, and so I do think there's probably some Casio stuff that we're missing.
I get so frustrated by Casio. I'm going to offend a lot of people out there. If you're a Casio lover, if you love Casio, I'm so sorry, but the Casio fan base out there, I was going to say another word, but I didn't. The fan base out there, they're very aggressive and hate my opinions because I think my Instinct 2X video, the Garmin Instinct 2X, I basically called it like the G-Shock killer because it is kind of like a G-Shock, but it actually has usable features and not like a bunch of fluff.
I'll be interested to see what Casio does because they're pulling in they're pulling in metrics from Polar, and I do think that there's potential there, and they have a massive following that is just diehard fans. Like Casio can do no wrong. Like they're collectors, right? Whereas I think that you and I don't look at watches as like collector pieces, but so many people do. So the
one thing I'll
should not be asking me for my opinion on which watch looks the best, but
the one thing I'll give Casio is that the GBD H2000, I got it over here somewhere, and it's got, bar none, the best smartwatch battery life ever. It'll go for like over a year on a single charge, as long as you don't go for a run with it. Once you go for a run with it, it's got like 20 hours or something. But if you're just wearing it around town, like it's the type of thing where it almost feels like an analog mechanical watch. Like it just never runs out, and it's pretty amazing. But other than that, I always have like a really odd experience, especially with the last one, because they had like the Casio watch app, and then they came out with a new watch, and they made a new app for the new watch, and I'm like, use one app, guys. you already have an app. You don't need to reinvent the wheel for a new watch. But
if you're going to make a Casio review, you're not allowed to insult or talk about any features that aren't perfect. So I'm sorry, but you are wrong.
I feel bad about it because I get it. People are very nostalgic for the brand. They like the G-Shock, what it stands for, how they look. And I guess I don't connect with that. And now Casio will never send me another watch to review. So RIP.
Send it over here, Casio.
All right. So we talked about best looking. Okay. Let's go with most improved brand.
Most improved brand. Well, I'm going to go with Suunto, even though I haven't reviewed them, because that company, like, one of the reasons I was like, I'm not worried about, so I probably had this conversation with you, to take on a new brand on your channel, it almost feels like you've got to like cover the brand. You want to be able to explain things to people, and you want to be able to understand like what the company does. And so to take on like a new brand, like for a long time, I was like, I don't need to review Suunto. I kind of feel like they might be done. Like they were to me, they were in trouble. And I think they released 2 watches this past year, right? Is that right? Or just 1? 2?
Yeah, I think the Vertical was earlier 2023, and then the race was like a couple of months ago. And to me,
like both of those watches did what they needed to do, like brought them back into it, and then surpassed, really, as I was saying before, like value-wise, like what you can get from this brand. And so I would say yes, absolutely, Suunto most improved, even though I don't have one here to verify that.
I agree. The only thing, my only issue with Suunto is like I've never gotten a good heart rate reading from them, but I get it's just a sample of one, and other people have. So I mean, that's just my track record with Suunto. The 9 Barrow, even the 7 with the the Google operating system, the new ones. I just never, for whatever reason. Here's a good one. Biggest letdown of 2023. Throw someone under the bus, Matt.
Apple Watch Ultra 2.
Oh, interesting. That's actually what I said too.
So did you? That doesn't surprise me at all. I have a video coming up, and I think it's going to be the Apple Watch Ultra 2 after 100 days. We're 100 days. And
spoiler.
It's good. It's a good watch. Like it's a great watch. Like if you're going to buy an Apple Watch Ultra 2, you're coming from some other Apple Watch, like an Apple Watch Series 4 or something like that, you're going to be happy with it. You might as well get the Apple Watch Ultra 2. When I do my research for the video, I'll talk about all the exact updates, but there's just not much there. There's not a lot there that makes you excited about the new watch. Even if they had changed the color, which I wish
they did.
I would have been. Yeah, I wish they had changed the color, but at the same time, then you'd have the flip side of the coin, which is people are like, it's the same watch. All they did was spray paint it black, and you guys are so excited about that. Like, yeah,
and I feel bad because I don't want to throw them under the bus because, like you said, if you're going to buy an Ultra 1, just buy an Ultra 2. It's the same price, and you get some little updates, and it does feel like they were kind of setting the stage for whatever is coming next or whatever feature is coming down the road by adding the new processor and the new gesture stuff. I feel like there's going to be other stuff to come to exclusive to the 2.
Yeah, they could have done this. They could have said, we're updating the Apple Watch Ultra with the new chip, and there's a couple of other minor features. It'll get the double tap feature, and they could have just called it the Apple Watch Ultra. Like, they didn't have to say the Apple Watch Ultra 2. They could have just
or
said,
maybe just go with the date or the year, right? Apple Watch Ultra 2023, 2024, whatever, and just like a car. Like if you buy like a Ford F-150 in 1995 is the same as 2024. It's just a year thing that changes. So Matt, a big complaint when I mentioned in the video that I made that my disappointment was the Ultra 2, and it's still a great watch. It was just disappointing in that it wasn't the hype. We were like expecting way more than what actually came. But I had a runner-up that I didn't even include in the video. Could you guess what it is? Could you guess what the runner-up was? I don't think you have it or have reviewed it.
What is it? Tell me. What is it?
Polar Vantage V3.
Okay, yeah, I have not reviewed that one yet, and I'm excited. That's another one where I'm like, don't watch Dave's video because I'm definitely, it's a video it's one that I really wanted to watch. And again, it's like I haven't. This is the problem. Is like I haven't watched any of the reviews.
Really, you didn't watch Ray's video either? Wow.
No.
So we can't even discuss it. This is going to screw up your whole mantra.
No. Well, here's what I know. From what I've heard is that the heart rate accuracy wasn't that accurate for that device. I may never review that watch. Like it's kind of like, where do I think put my time?
The Vantage V3, I won't spoil it. I won't spoil the whole thing. But I guess for me, I had a lot of excitement about it because I like you. I like the Polar brand. I've had good experience with. I like the Grid X Pro. I like the Vantage V2. They've always had a pretty reliable product. And for this one, when I saw the spec sheet, when I got the pre-release information, I was like,
You're excited about it.
They're doing it. Like OLED screen, multi-band GPS, great battery life, all new heart rate sensor, and it's all packaged in a good-looking, somewhat affordable watch. But then when I got to testing it, I ran into a few things that I won't even tell you. But the real problem here is the price point because you got the 965 over there, just being a rock star for $600, at the same price point. It's an uphill battle for Polar. But the good news is
they should have priced that at. Yeah, they should have priced it at 500. I think they should have priced it at 500. And then I think if I review it, I think what I should do is wait for software update with the heart rate fix, which is gonna come at some point, right? Like this is Polar. Heart rate is what they do.
Well, the good news is they did reach out after I posted my review, and they are sending a new one with supposedly new firmware that should address some of the concerns I had, because it wasn't just heart rate. There was some stuff with navigation. I'm not going to spoil it, but there was some things that were just like, like an easy fix, definitely like just a UI thing, like just add that, like piece of cake stuff. Hopefully this new version, can address that. But
and I worry about Polar as the company, right? Like they just haven't had like the big home runs that they probably need at this point.
I almost wonder if I hate to say it, but I almost wonder if they'd be better off just being an accessory brand that makes heart rate sensors and, because they make the most kick-ass, chest straps. I love the Polar H10, the H9, the Verity Sense. Like their stuff is really nice.
Their heart rate monitors are good, but that's just a marketplace that's
very niche.
Well, I have this argument that I make on my channel that's like, for most of us, or most of you will say, it's like the $25, $35 heart rate monitors, like we're talking chest straps here, those work really well because they're all getting an electrical signal or they're not getting an electrical signal, right? And so, and you know this, but then you jump up to like, and I'm going to mess up the price, but I want to say like a $90 H10, and you're like, for triple the price, are you getting triple the value? And I just don't think you are.
All right. Well, that was all my categories, Matt. Now I want to talk about you a little bit.
How did I do? Did I pass?
You're doing great, man. But we're nearing the end of the year. We're like 3 days out from Christmas right now. We should probably make this a holiday. Maybe I'll put some holiday music in the background.
If you could just put
spice this up, put a frame around
some
it,
sort of Christmas tree right in the middle, so that you can't see my face. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your channel because you are, right before this, I checked your stats and you're like you're about to crack 25K.
25. Yes.
Yeah, you're
actually,
24.9.
Do you guys want,
did it happen?
You want like live numbers? Because like this is
let's get live.
It's going to happen like as we...
I'm checking right now for you.
Can you check my numbers for me?
Well, no, I can't see it up to date like you can.
Value.
But it still says 24.9.
24 so I'm at 24.9.5.
Okay.
So like today or tomorrow, I'll crack 25. It'll be awesome.
So
I'm so
excited. So everybody listening to this podcast right now, go over to Matt LeGrand's channel, linked in the show notes, and hit the subscribe button. You need to do it. That way he gets over that 25K hump.
Well, we only have room for so many people. Okay. So
you have an exclusive list that only it gets cut off. And then when someone leaves, another person can come in. That kind of like a revolving door.
It's pretty exclusive. But like so, like I love celebrating like these little milestones. Like I don't make a big deal, but like we have fun. Man. Like I cracked a beer when you crossed over 10,000 subscribers, maybe. Like there was like funny, like I love the idea that there's these little milestones that we should celebrate. And so 25 will be one of them. Like I'm sure it's a
big deal.
Like I'll have a glass of wine with my wife or something like that. Like and then when you hit a million.
Bed Bath and Beyond after.
Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't know. It's a busy weekend. I don't know. But when you hit a million, like I'm coming up to Boston and we're gonna have a party. Like because I don't think that these things are like super important, like the numbers or whatever. What's important is that you can like do what you're passionate about and provide for your family. That's awesome. But I do love the fact that if you can celebrate, you should celebrate. So
I agree.
That's my take on it. So when you crack a million, just let me know because I want to be there for that party.
You can pop over for 115 if you want. That's probably going to happen soon.
Okay.
114 and a half.
I did. You know? I don't remember. Like I do see your plaque in the background, which is super cool.
Yeah.
That must have been. I mean, I know it's not. But that must have been really cool to get that. This
is such a cliche shot to have the little plaque in the background of your YouTube video, but what can you say? I'm a cliche kind of guy. But yes, it was a very, very exciting moment, even though it's a lot cheaper than it looks. Like these on the wall, when you see these in videos, you're like, wow, that's going to be like...
It looks solid.
Yeah, handcrafted, CNC machined aluminum. No, it's like plywood with a wrap of tinfoil on it. Basically.
Okay, that's good. That's good for you to like bring it down a level. Yeah, because I'm like, this thing is going to... I'm going to take a bite out of that thing. It's going to be so solid.
Now that we've talked about your channel, let's talk about goals. 2024 goals. What are your big things for 2024? Do you have a resolution or do you have a channel goal? What's going on?
I have from now until New Year's to come up with all of that stuff.
Right now.
Okay. Well, you're here to help, I assume. I think my channel will continue to improve. I really post a video once per week, and I love that like rhythm because it allows me to be a normal person and still post stuff to YouTube. And it's worked really well for me in the past, and so that's my plan. And so I don't see my channel like exploding and being super big next year. But I imagine that. Well, I think I'll probably cross 30,000 and maybe 35. Like, I think I'll just have like nice normal growth. I think it'll be great. And I'll get out and do some triathlons next summer, which I love doing. And yeah, so I don't have like huge goals for next year, but that's where you come in, Dave. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. So your A goal for the channel should be 50K, 50,000 subscribers. And you got that goal in the bag.
I think that's a little
everybody
optimistic.
Go subscribe. No. And
I think 50 is optimistic. I can look at my formula and I can tell you that like according to my chart that I've got that has predicted well in the past that I will not hit 50 by next year. But it's a great goal. It's a great goal.
Break the mold. Get some
break the mold.
Some new riveting content. I don't know. Do a triathlon while doing a handstand the whole time. People watch that.
That's the kind of stuff that really gets people. I would love to do some different videos because I really enjoy just making different stuff. Like reviews are great. Like you and I have talked about this. Like reviews are great. Like I love it when you're like, hey, I'm taking this GoPro, I'm going on the trail and I'm going to try and do. And like I love that content. It's just so much more personable. And so I would love to make a couple of videos, not a lot, like, because I'm not going to change my channel or anything like that. No plans to do anything big, but like more documentary style stuff. And because I have, and I've done some little things like this, like day in the life of a pro triathlete and stuff like that. And I have access to good things like that. Even like interviewing Ray or talking to him about like
that
who he is.
video was so cool. That was so cool. I loved the just seeing the behind the scenes, like how it gets from the mailbox to the crazy, scary hoist mechanism that could kill somebody. To it was that was a really cool. Very Gerald undone. I loved it. I watched the whole thing. It was great.
Well, I would love to do more stuff like that.
That is the struggle, man. The struggle with YouTube for me, I don't know how you feel about this, but is you fall into this, like everyone says when you start a YouTube channel, like niche down. Always talk about the niche, never go outside the niche. And then like it works. You see numbers go up and growth, and that's all good. And yeah, like we're still both passionate about this stuff. It's not like we're getting my arm twisted to talk about the new watches. That's super cool.
No, we love it. Yeah.
But there's so many other interests that I have personally, I'm sure you do too, where I'm like, I'd love to make content about that, but it doesn't feel like the right place, and I don't want to break my audience or make people think. But like reality is like looking around to all the people I admire on YouTube, I want to see that stuff. Like I want to see the other side of them. Maybe a disc golf or ultimate frisbee thing from MKBHD, because he talks about it. He talks about it randomly, but he'll never share his training or like what's going on. Like that'd be super cool. But again, he's got a staff of 50 people and he's got 18 million subscribers. So he shies away from that stuff.
I think a lot of people are like, get your subscriber numbers up, get your da-da-da. But I bet you feel like, oh, there's some real value to being at where like that I'm at like 25,000 subscribers. Like there's some good things. Like if I want to change my channel completely, like I feel like I can. And totally. I try to remind myself of that. Oh, there's huge value here. And if I want to do something different, whether that's ultimate frisbee or documentary style interviews with Chase the Summit or whatever, like there's things that I feel like I can do and not like upset the status quo. So
I still don't know it. Like I love, ultra marathon running, but then, you look at the numbers, it's like the Garmin video got 300,000 views and then my little race video got 2,000. Like, should I care about that? No. And I still make them. And in my mind, I'm like, well,
that's one of the things I love about your channel.
Yeah. I mean, I try to diversify, and I always think if I was a viewer, like it would add credibility to this guy that he actually goes out and does stuff with these things. You know what I mean?
You actually go out there, you use them, and it's also just so nice to have like, there's a certain part of your audience that will just watch every video that you make, and they're just good. Like they're nice people. They're like, you get to know these people and they're awesome. And like, it's just nice to share that with them. Like, hey, I did this race. Like, I don't know. I love it. I'm glad that you do it.
Well, thanks, Matt. All right, man. I'm not going to take up your whole day. We've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes, and I believe my children just got home downstairs, so the house will start shaking soon. And
that's the alarm.
I don't want to ruin this recording. So I do appreciate you coming on and, taking the time out of your day. This is tough for you because this is, what time is it? It's 1:00 in the afternoon for me, and it's pretty early for you. So thanks for doing that. Yep. And I wanted to wish you a happy holidays before I lose you.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you too. And thanks for bringing me on board.
And to all the listeners out there, happy holidays to you as well. The podcast audio only listeners, appreciate you guys for sticking around. Guess what? This is episode 60, Matt. I've done 60 podcasts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice job, bro. Nice job.
Usually it's just me like sitting here alone ranting about things, and today it was good to have some company. So thanks again. All right, friends. That is it. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure to give it the thumbs up, subscribe down below. Make sure to check out Matt's channel. Subscribe over there. Get him over the hump. Get him to 25K and then onward to 50K. That's what's going to happen, Matt. And that's it for this one. I will see you next time. Bye. Say bye, Matt.
Bye, guys.